Have you ever wondered when and where Gothic literature began and how it got its name? Join me as we explore its early roots, key authors, and how it evolved into the genre we know today. The origins of Gothic literature are rooted in a fascination with the medieval past. In the 18th century, there was a growing interest in the mystery and romance of the Middle Ages. This interest extended to Gothic architecture, those towering cathedrals, abandoned castles, and crumbling abbeys, a fascination that gave Gothic literature its name. Gothic literature emerged as a response to this fascination. It was a way for writers to delve into the darker aspects of human experience, horror with romance, and settings that seemed to defy the natural world. If we're going to talk about the origins of Gothic literature, we have to start with Horace Walpole, an English writer who belonged to the upper classes and whose father, Sir Robert Walpole, was not only the first Prime Minister of Great Britain, but also the longest serving in British history. In 1764, Horace Walpole published The Castle of Otranto, which is often regarded as the first Gothic novel. Walpole was inspired by Gothic architecture, even building his own Gothic-inspired mansion, Strawberry Hill House in London, which fueled his imagination. The Castle of Otranto set the template for what would become the Gothic novel, a crumbling castle, mysterious prophecies, ghosts, and a sinister villain. It was a dramatic mix of supernatural elements, high emotion, and dark secrets. Fun fact, Otranto is a real place. It's a historic town in the Apulia region of southern Italy, located on the eastern coast along the Adriatic Sea. Otranto is known for its beautiful coastline, medieval architecture, and rich history. It has a significant cultural heritage too, including the Castello Aragonese, which likely inspired Horace Walpole when he wrote The Castle of Otranto. Its medieval and Gothic elements make it a fitting namesake for the novel. The Castle of Otranto didn't just establish Gothic literature as a genre, it also contributed to the evolution of the novel form itself, combining elements of romance, horror, and suspense. Before the emergence of the novel in the 18th century, most of the reading public consumed epic poetry, religious texts, and philosophical treatises and plays, as well as chivalric romances. Works like Homer's The Odyssey, the Bible, and other morality pieces like John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress dominated reading practices. Focusing instead on realism, character development, and individual experience, early novels like Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe and Samuel Richardson's Pamela helped define the genre, and indeed, the term novel comes from the Italian word novella, meaning new story. These early novels marked a shift from the heroic and allegorical to more personal, everyday narratives. This evolution laid the groundwork for Gothic literature, which blended the novel's realism with supernatural and psychological elements. Before The Castle of Otranto came along, the novel as a literary form was still in its infancy. The 18th century saw the rise of novels that focus on realism, wit, and social commentary. Works like Samuel Richardson's Pamela and Clarissa explored detailed character development and moral lessons, while Henry Fielding's Tom Jones brought humor and satire to the forefront. These early novels often centered on the lives and relationships of the middle and upper classes, offering a window into society's values and norms. But Horace Walpole took the novel in a radically different direction with The Castle of Otranto, published in 1764. Drawing inspiration from Gothic architecture and medieval romance, Walpole's work was one of the first to combine elements of supernatural horror, suspense, and high emotion. This was a dramatic shift from the realistic depictions of everyday life that characterized earlier novels. The Castle of Otranto broke new ground by introducing readers to an imaginative, atmospheric world where the supernatural was not only possible but central to the story. Walpole created a blend of medieval and modern storytelling, drawing on ancient chivalric romances while incorporating more contemporary narrative techniques. For example, he used a found manuscript framing device, presenting the novel as an ancient text discovered and translated, lending it an aura of mystery and authenticity. This blend of old and new laid the foundation for the Gothic novel and opened up new possibilities for what novels could explore. Suddenly, fiction wasn't just about society and morals, it became a vehicle for exploring the uncanny, the sublime, and the darker aspects of human nature. The use of suspense, atmosphere, and psychological depth in The Castle of Otranto would go on to influence countless authors, helping to expand the scope of novelistic storytelling beyond mere realism. Following the success of The Castle of Otranto, Gothic literature began to flourish. One of the most significant authors to follow in Walpole's footsteps was Anne Radcliffe, whose The Mysteries of Udolpho, published in 1794, took the genre to new heights. Radcliffe introduced readers to the concept of the sublime, an emotional state that combines awe and terror in the face of nature's power. Her novels, filled with suspense and eerie landscapes, paved the way for later Gothic writers. Then came Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in 1818, a novel that masterfully blended Gothic elements with themes of science and human nature. Shelley's creation of a scientist who defies nature to create life was a revolutionary twist on the Gothic tradition. Her story of ambition and the consequences of playing God showcased the genre's flexibility and its ability to explore deep philosophical questions. Other Gothic novels of note published around the same time include The Vampire by John Polidori, Lord Byron's personal physician, Melmoth the Wanderer by Charles Maturin, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Lastly, Dracula by Bram Stoker, which was published at the end of the 19th century in 1897. You're probably already aware of some of the features of Gothic literature, many of which emerged during this stage of its evolution. Iconic elements include the isolated castle or mansion. These locations weren't just background scenery, they were almost characters themselves, steeped in mystery and shadow. The supernatural also became a staple of Gothic fiction, whether it was the ghostly apparitions in Otranto or the strange, unnatural life in Frankenstein. Gothic literature often explores the fear of the unknown, using supernatural elements to reflect internal psychological struggles. Explorations of the sublime, grotesque, and uncanny, which I explore in my video Features of Gothic Literature, were also central to early Gothic novels, allowing authors to examine human nature and the tension between reason and emotion. To wrap up, Gothic literature originated from an 18th century fascination with the medieval past and Gothic architecture. Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto laid the foundation, introducing key elements like crumbling castles, supernatural occurrences, and dark secrets. Authors like Anne Radcliffe and Mary Shelley expanded on these ideas, creating works that explored deep emotional and philosophical themes. Since then, the Gothic genre has evolved significantly, and its influence is felt across literature, film, and beyond. What's your favourite Gothic tale, and how do you think it reflects the origins of this mysterious genre? And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the origins of Gothic literature, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload new content. Until next time, thanks and keep exploring the shadows.